Hello and welcome to How to HomeKit, my channel where I'm going to teach you how to run your home, hopefully, if you're deep into the Apple ecosystem. And I thought what better place to start than by explaining the difference between the Home app and HomeKit. HomeKit is a bit like the roadway system. There's lots of different ways to use it. You can use your own car and have the flexibility that comes with that, or you can use a ride sharing service or a bus or whatever. And the Home app is like using the roadways entirely with a ride-sharing app. You can do a lot of things, it's quite flexible, but there are also some limitations on when you can use it, and how far you can go, and what it costs you in the process. So for example, with the Home app, you can't do a lot of conditions on an automation. This is something that the more you get into the home automation, smart home life, the more you'll realize that automations are a massive part of it and what make things convenient. When you start off with a few smart bulbs and you're turning them on and off with your voice or using your phone, you'll think that's convenient at first, but then pretty quickly you'll go, yeah, but it was also quite convenient to walk into the room, flick the light switch, and walk out and flick the light switch, and you got used to doing that. To then have to pull your phone out, open an app and turn it on and off, you're much better off opening the door and a contact sensor turning the light on, and then maybe a motion sensor turning it off or something like that. And when you get into that, you'll realize conditions are really important before you start annoying your friends and your family with automations that go off when you don't want them to. So conditions are really important. And saying, if I'm not in the nighttime state, or saying that, what if I don't want to do it when the light is already on, because I've set it to a specific color, perhaps. So I don't want to then override that just because I walked into the room, and things like that. Conditions are really important. And with the Apple Home app, sometimes it lets you put a condition or two on, like that they think is sensible, like if somebody is at home or during certain times of the day. But very quickly you will also realize that rigid times of the day aren't really what you want. You want to say, once I've gone to bed, which might involve something like a dummy switch, which I personally have in Homebridge, which is really useful because when I say goodnight, from that point onwards, my home is in a nighttime state. And then anything that happens, all automations turn on lights much more dimly or don't turn them on at all to avoid blinding you in the night. And then when I say good morning, from then on, it's in the daytime state and lights turn on at full brightness where appropriate. And the Home app doesn't really let you do this. There is a caveat to that. You can convert to shortcut and you can do pretty much everything with great flexibility using convert to shortcut, but it is a lot slower that way, I found. So I much prefer to use a third-party app. There are a couple that I like to use. There's Controller for HomeKit, Home Plus. I don't know what version they're on now. I think they're Home Plus 6 now. But those both allow you to create automations and pick as many conditions as you like. So you can say if this light is off, or if there's motion over here, or if this door is closed, or any combination of conditions that you want to add so that the automation doesn't run when you don't want it to. Even just putting a dummy switch in that gives you an override that says, you know what, right now I don't want this automation to run, I'll turn that switch on, and my automation checks if that switch is off before it runs, which is really powerful. Unfortunately, you always end up having to go back to Apple's Home app for some things, because there are certain things that they don't let third-party developers do. The first one, which is a minor annoyance, is they don't let you create an automation and set any variation of devices without creating a scene for that set of devices. So say I want to turn on bulb A and bulb B. In the Home app, you'd go in, create the automation, say I want to turn that bulb on, that top bulb on, and that's what the automation would do. In a third-party app, if they have to then create a scene that is what that automation triggers. So if you did that in a third-party app, you'd select bulb A and select bulb B, and then at the end of it, you'd end up with a funny named scene that turns on bulb A and bulb B, and that automation actually triggers that scene. For that reason, if I have a very specific combination of things that I want to do that I don't want to waste one of my 100 scene slots on, I will create the automation in the Home app first, and then I will go into a third-party app and add the extra conditions that I want. Another thing is Apple don't let third-party apps control speakers or TVs. So again, any automation that involves playing music on a HomePod, you have to go and do in their app. If you want to turn a TV on or off, I believe you have to do that in the Home app. And you also can't check if a TV is on as a condition in a third-party app. You can't even do that in a condition in the shortcut, convert to shortcut automation in the Home app either. So you have to do some clever things if you want to do that. And lastly, that includes the temperature and humidity sensors in the newer HomePods. They are not available to third-party app developers as triggers or conditions either, which is quite annoying. I was quite excited that I had one room left in my house I didn't have a temperature sensor in, but I did have a HomePod Mini in there, and I would be able to automate the heater in there, which I have done, but not as neatly as I wanted to do because of that limitation. So hopefully that leaves you all a little bit clearer on the difference between the Home app and HomeKit. HomeKit's actually very capable. You can do conditions, you can do a lot of clever stuff. As I showed in a previous video, you can say after 5 minutes of inactivity in this room, like no motion, turn off the lights. But the Home app doesn't natively surface that to you. You need to get clever with the shortcuts automations for that one, but go and look at my other video, my first video. If you want to see how to do that, I might update it and make it a bit clearer. And you can do lots of very clever things with conditions to make your automations much smarter than you might think the Home app lets you do. So yeah, if you've got any ideas for automations that you'd like me to explain and go through, let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to make a video on that. I've got some great automations in my house based on things like I mentioned, mostly using dummy switches, which turned on and off based on various scenes and clever stuff like that. So yeah, let me know if you want me to explain anything to you.